This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, episode 301.
Get pumped. Get pumped.
Call this the episode after the live stream.
Yeah.
99 episodes to go to 499 episodes to go.
If you did that every episode that you're involved in, Nate, I would laugh.
That'd be amazing.
We could put a little compilation together of all of them. That would be epic. This is episode 301, the one after the live stream, and today is Monday, November 4th. And
Good day.
did everyone remember to turn their clocks back?
Yeah.
I remember twice to do it in my car.
Ooh. It's the only
Oh,
place,
shit. Got to do that one.
it's the only place I had to do it today.
Yeah,
Damn.
Officially.
I have to do it in my car still.
Mm.
Got to do that one.
You people need better cars to just do it on its own.
I didn't know cars did that.
You
Mine
have
does.
you have like a cyber truck? What are you dealing with over
No,
there?
her syncs with her phone.
Mm. Guy scare everyone singing. This is my favorite part of Sunday.
We are recording as Sunday Night Football is going on, as is usual when we record on Sunday night. We are going to get into the NFL action, the college football action, the winners and losers of the week. But first, Nate, Sam, did either of you watch the live stream on Wednesday?
I caught the end of it.
Hey.
Nate was the extra guy we didn't know.
We were
There
There
trying
we
we
go.
How come you didn't respond in the chat?
You got to make it suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
That's right up his alley, right?
You're right. It is. It is. All right. That makes sense for Nate. Thanks again to everybody who did join us on the live stream on Wednesday for episode 300, the betting episode. Nate was preparing for his Friday officiating, correct, Nate?
Yeah, for my Friday night playoff game.
Nate's in the playoffs as an official. You going to continue to be in the playoffs weeks to come?
Yeah, for a few more.
For a few more weeks. As always, you can catch us at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Ding ding.
I do have to say that I'm typically, as Jim and Alex are, in the save or sell the nutting team Bob parlay.
We gotta,
You guys just aren't even there now.
it's not the right day.
I know.
I know.
You
I
have
wasn't
to always
like,
be ready.
expecting it, to be
To
honest.
always be ready. Because I'm usually premature and I don't wait for Alex to do the ding ding. So I
True.
consciously was waiting this time.
That's fair.
Don't forget our weekly betting episodes, as we just alluded to, that come out on Thursday mornings. There may be more live streams to come to be determined. We continue to be on the heater of heaters.
We are on a good streak.
We
Hell of a run.
we all had another winning week this week, correct, Alex? Yes.
Yes.
You're the only one that was on the verge today.
Yeah, it was 4-2. I just didn't have as many, so
Yeah.
You almost dropped that last one, Muffin.
It's all right, Jim. I still went 5
I
and 1
was
for the
I
week.
was rooting for the Seahawks so bad.
Still went 5 and 1 for the week. Oh, you're rooting against me.
I was.
You had to find some way to do it over the weekend.
Well, no, I had a couple times to do it over the weekend.
But not actively.
Mm-hmm.
Not actively to the world. All right, let's get into NFL Week 9, starting with Thursday Night Football as Aaron Rodgers and the Jets took on the Houston Texans and came out with a win. Unexpectedly,
Yeah.
21 to well, actually it was expected because they were the favorite.
Yeah.
21 to 13. Jim, take us through your emotions in this game.
Yeah. Basically, it was, oh no, I've made a mistake. I realized that quite early. And then Stroud went down. I was like, oh no. And then he came back and I was like, okay. And then I thought, well, we might pull this out. And then I was like, nah, it's Thursday. I've been bitten. They are depleted. This was a very big error, and I should have stayed away. They're not pulling this one out.
I think we found out what happens when Jim goes against the rules, Alex.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
knew that. I found that out real quick.
put my money down on it. Followed the trend. I was kicking you mentally.
Yeah, it was bad. It was my bad.
Did you buy any crystals online after the game?
No.
Okay, just wanted to see. Just curious.
During.
Alex, did you? Or during? Oh, yeah, good thought, Nate. During
No
any
crystals.
crystals, no ayahuasca. Didn't go on
No.
any psychedelic trips.
No.
Oh, I did, but not with crystal. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I did not.
Okay, real talk. This is totally off beaten path, and if any of you have seen this, I think I told Alex about this, but I haven't seen either of you, any of the rest of the crew here. If you have not, this is for everybody, but you guys specifically, if you have not taken a gander at the Nutter Butter TikTok or Instagram accounts,
Oh yeah.
talk about a psychedelic trip. I have no idea what their marketing and promotional campaigns are right now, aside from just draw you in to learn nothing about their product, but just to get views.
One of the weirdest things I've ever seen, to be honest. Like I
I
thought it
will,
was
I
just
will
gonna
look
be like
into
one
it.
post. He just like casually was like, "Have you ever looked at Nutter Butter's social media?" I was like, "No." And he's like, "Yeah, pull it up." And I pulled it up, and I thought I was gonna make one like scandalous post. It's like years worth of wild.
It's a
All
thing.
right. I'm gonna make
It's in the psychedelic
this a
realm.
thing for myself.
Like I think that there's a crystal in Aaron Rodgers' butt, and they control Nutter Butter's social media page.
Moving on to Sunday football with the We Effing Suck Cowboys losing to the Falcons 27 to 21. The Cowboys did not bring Zeke Elliott, who was not, I guess, I don't know if these words are correct. He was not traveling with the team. I don't know, permitted to travel is the right word, based to conduct that was not great for the team atmosphere. I think Nate, you found something a little bit more on
Well,
this, or
uh,
Alex.
yeah, no, when I was watching Red Zone, they mentioned that apparently it was like being late for or missing a team meeting is what's suspected. It was like for conduct not that didn't align with like team policy and team expectations. So
It has to be pretty intense to like not even get to travel.
yeah, I feel like he probably didn't show up, but maybe it was like a big FU like pouty pants kind of situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's been his thing.
or was he out like partying late and there was a curfew and then he was late because of that kind of thing, or something happened more than
The
just
article that I read is that he's pouting
okay.
because he doesn't believe he's getting the touches that he should, and this comeback is not what he had in mind.
Just not that good anymore, buddy.
Yeah,
And neither
I
are the
mean,
Cowboys.
yeah, he should probably hang it up.
It's time.
Yeah, but while you're
There's no situation that's going to allow him to be successful at this point.
I don't think
I
so.
feel like he's just making like things worse for himself. Like if you
Yeah,
just leave now, like, oh yeah, Zeke Elliott, yeah, he was pretty good running back. But like I'm afraid he's gonna go down that path of like, no, he was a giant a-hole and I hate him.
yeah, he's hurting it.
Falcons win. Do we look into this game at all? Does this
Kirk
just
Cousins.
Alex? Yes, I know Kirk Cousins.
I mean, no, like
Cowboys, the Cowboys,
Falcons
and the
won.
Falcons should have beat them.
Drake
Yeah,
London got banged up. I don't know if it'll be like a sustainable. I don't think it's like a long-term thing, but he went up for a catch and came down on his hip. And he was riding the bike and stuff, trying to work it out. And I honestly think he just didn't come back because the whole game, the Falcons were pretty consistently handling business against Cowboys. So I think it was one of those don't push it situations.
hmm
And what was expected to be a major game in the AFC, we had the Dolphins take on the Bills, and while the records probably aren't what were anticipated, the game was still very good, very competitive. Came down to the last minutes, lived up to the expected
What's very
billing.
good? Like, what are we calling very good?
Very
It was
good
an overtime
game.
game. They're not overtime, I'm sorry, but like,
It was a competitive game back and forth, and
All right,
yeah, it was score,
cool.
score,
I'll call
score,
that
score.
very good then. Like, it wasn't entertaining from the highlights.
On Red Zone watching it live though, I was very interested. Like I was bought into it
At the end, or like throughout the, did you
throughout the
see?
entire thing. So I mean,
Okay,
it started like 3-3. And at that point, and I will say it was like kind of boring. But then as soon as the scoring started, like it was like back, forth,
yeah, the end
like
of the first half and the entire second half were scoring back and forth.
yeah. I didn't realize
okay.
Khalil Shakir is like the highest percentage per target catch in like 2 years. He's like 2 different years with that record. I was like, of all the like wideouts you think of. It was like 95% or something this year. His targets to receptions, like percentage
I
of
just
catch.
don't think I can get into these two teams. And that might be why I'm not entertained. No matter how hard I try, no matter which way I bet, like I just can't get into it.
See,
I think
I like the Bills. I mean, the Dolphins were more exciting whenever Tua wasn't like,
on the verge of a vegetable.
yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say a vegetable, and I was like, is that nice? But
I can do it. You can't.
yeah, I feel like
I got that veggie
I
pass.
feel like I should use my big words.
So I guess it's Josh Allen for me. Just he seems pouty in my mind, and maybe it's just my take. He just feels like a pouty guy. And I
He's
know he's not, but like he feels like a pouty guy to me. And then the coach for the Dolphins, like I cannot for the life of me get behind him.
He reminds me of Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec. Every time I see him, that's all I can
Josh
think.
Allen or the coach?
Josh Allen.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah,
agree with you. I don't know why I'm not a Mike McDaniel's fan, and it's just something about his face.
yeah.
It is totally one of those things where like I don't think he's a bad coach. I really have nothing against him, but there's something about his face.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
odd.
Like
Like
that's it. I don't like him.
I feel like
Thank
if
you.
you, I feel like Mike McDaniel also has like the personality of Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec, like just saying things that don't necessarily add up in the moment,
Yeah.
and he's just
No.
says these wacky zany things that you're like, what?
But Josh Allen looks like him though. I
He
mean, every
does.
time I watch the game, I'm like,
He does.
And
Yep.
like
Thank
whenever
you.
he has a silly turnover or
bye,
something, I can see it.
bye, little Sebastian. I just picture him singing that.
What, Nate?
I was
Since
gonna say anytime he has like a stupid turnover, I can see like the Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec coming out.
answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's not pouty. Maybe it's just that face that Alex just did. Like,
Maybe it's his disappointed face or his discouraged
yeah.
face.
It's like, no, man.
And
Come
it's like
on.
confused. Like, why did that happen? Like, because you threw
Yeah.
the other team. That's why it happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you,
Like, I don't think he's
Alex. Thank
pouting. I
you.
think he's like shocked.
Yeah.
Like, I will say he doesn't throw many interceptions, so maybe that's why he's like, "What was that?"
It takes him back. It takes him aback. You're right. Thank you.
He's surprised.
All right, the Bengals beat up on the Raiders 41-24. This is
That was
expected
shocking to
outcome.
me. I did not think they would beat up on him like that. Like the Raiders suck, but the Bengals aren't great either.
Yeah, Chase Brown had a great game on my bench.
How's that feel, Alex?
Not great.
Especially since you're playing me.
Yes, exactly.
That's all they said. Joe Burrow tied his career high with 5 tutties.
I mean,
Yeah, he did.
it's a winning effort, I guess. It's good for them. They just need to start beating mediocre to good teams now.
Well, remember Burrow said they've got to win 9 out of their last 11 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he's still pissy about it, which is also like Joey B, calm down, man.
Joey B is one
Pissy
that I've
about
kind of
what?
like faded a little bit on like how I feel about him.
Yeah.
Pissy. What's Joey B pissy about, Jim?
He's like, we're striving for perfection every day, every
Okay.
game. So until that happens, what's there to be happy about? Dude, you're Cincinnati. You won big. That's what's to be happy about. You're not the Patriots. You're not this mega team, Cincinnati. Like the bar's not up that high. Like you're a step above the Browns. You're in Ohio. Calm down.
Speaking of teams from Ohio, Jameis Winston and the Browns take on the Chargers. And the Chargers come out with this one 27-10. I think this was sort of anticipated that Jameis Winston would not play as well this week as he did last week.
Before the end of the first half, the Chargers did a pitch the ball around to see if we can score. Like that's how much little respect they have for the Browns.
Was it the Chargers who replicated the Incarnate Word touchdown celebration?
I don't know. I just saw the pitch thing.
I know there was 2 players that did it today. I can't remember who the first one was, but it might have been.
Chargers may have been one of them. And people that don't know, look that up. I would say that's a vertical plank. Is that the best way to describe that?
I did see
That's
the Lions did it was one.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Chargers did it.
I knew there was at least one NFL team that did it today.
Yeah,
But-
like Almond Ross St. Brown did it today.
Yeah.
That's who I saw. Maybe it wasn't wasn't the Chargers.
Very
So,
little respect though for the Browns from the Chargers.
I mean, is there any reason for them to respect them?
No,
Did you guys see the Chargers tweet afterwards about the win?
no.
It was that scene from Family Guy whenever Meg shakes the
Oh,
dog food and they have a W on it, and Brian comes running in the kitchen, and then Meg smacks the Brian with the dog food and knocks him out.
I did see that you
Ugh,
shared that with us on Twitter, Nate. That was funny.
not okay.
What you gonna
Then another
do?
one going back to the Cowboys and Falcons game. The Falcons tweeted one of a sad Yankees fan and said, "Oh, it must be a sad day to be a Yankees fan."
God. All right, we have the Titans taking on and beating the Patriots 20-17 as Mason Rudolph guides the Titans to victory in overtime.
Did you see that last play?
I thought that was Drake May.
That was Drake
I'm
May
sorry.
That was
before
Drake
they
May,
got into
yeah.
overtime,
I'm
right?
sorry it was, but it was. I'm sorry. So at the end of the game, he, I mean, I guess credit to his offensive line, but like not credit to the Titans for letting this game get tied up because I'm not, I wish I would have seen a final number, but like it
11
was,
seconds.
what was it?
It was 11 seconds.
Yeah, they showed it on.
I didn't see what the final number was. I
Yeah.
was going to say it was 100% over 10. It just like kind of felt crazy to
Yeah,
me.
he went forever.
And then the fact
finally
that it was
got
just
one
like a
in.
flip it up in the air and Ramondre Stevenson caught it some. I don't know. It
Yeah,
was just
it was amazing.
kind of a wild play.
But I'm shocked the Titans pulled that out.
I think that was one of those games that was like this could really go either way. All
Yeah.
said and done, I didn't expect it to be a blowout either direction. But if you would have put me to it, I would have said the Patriots find a way to win, and I would have been wrong. So there we go. Next, we have the Commanders
Bum, 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 bum.
taking down the Giants 27-22. Commanders do cover. Great teams cover, and they covered.
Yeah, thank goodness. I was sweating it at the end. I was like, I'm gonna be really pissed off.
Me too.
This is two close-ish games for the Giants against the Steelers and now the Commanders. Daniel Jones at least is competitive.
I think this speaks more on the Commanders' defense. They shouldn't have let that many points get scored.
I think they said this was Daniel Jones' first passing touchdown at MetLife since like week 16 or 17 of the 2022 season.
Yeah, it was like 600 something days because of his like injury period.
Yeah.
He has not had a touchdown there.
That's a stat right there. Stat that. Commanders get the win. Like I said, just keep a trucking at this point. They're just continuing to roll along. In the game that nobody cared about, the Panthers find a way to win a game, beating the Saints 23-22.
But one of the most controversial games of the weekend, like in terms of like getting buzz, because Derek Carr getting a lot of hate
By,
for that.
But yeah, he's getting hate from former players.
yeah,
Yeah.
From
I kinda missed this.
Mr. Slant. Jim, go on.
He hung Olave out, and Olave got knocked the
yeah.
fuck out
Yeah, he did.
and sent to the hospital. And Olave's brother's like, it's not worth it to play there if you play in New Orleans. And Michael Thomas just went in on Derek Carr, spilling all the tea on what his time there and how like Derek Carr's a dangerous man throwing that ball across the middle.
Like you mean like he doesn't consider
His
the
receiver safety.
Hmm.
So, like that's
See,
the story.
I don't feel like I see like I would have to like think about it and see if there's like a trend of like I mean I know Michael Thomas had some
Michael
injuries.
Thomas says that he got hung out this last season that he was there that led to a shoulder injury.
Yeah,
I think Michael Thomas is a little bit of a bitter person in
Yeah, he's
general
a
when
bit
it
of a
comes
diva.
to
and injury prone.
Yeah.
injury prone, but I think Derek Carr for that throw,
Maybe it's just like not on his radar of things that should be on his radar more.
yeah,
Like I doubt it's intentional, obviously, but it's like
I
Yeah,
don't think he thinks.
And I've seen more dangerous hospital passes than this one, though.
yeah, this one was kind of just a shitty play
That's
on
fair.
the other team as well. Like the Panthers kind of like I mean, they got flagged for it. I mean, hitting a
And
defensive.
then wondered why they got flagged. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know,
it was
look down,
clearly a
dummy.
dirty play. So part of me is like, yeah, he got like hung out, but at the same time, like there was an opportunity for the Panthers not to kill him.
Yeah,
I mean, he's still alive.
Yeah.
but he looked lifeless.
He went out. He was out. When they were like knocked him out of the game, I'm like, no, literally.
It was bad.
Is it Bryce Young gets a win? Guess
Yeah,
some type of positive for the Panthers to come away with, even though they lost, one their top wide receiver, they found a way to win.
yeah.
So here's what it is. The Ravens picked up that wide receiver Deontay Johnson from the Panthers, bringing him back to the AFC North, and the Ravens put a whooping on the Broncos.
The only Broncos touchdown today was a receiving touchdown from Bo Nix, by Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, two Bo Nix?
Yeah, no. I can't. I'm trying to remember who threw it now.
Somebody else.
I was just hung up by the fact that Bo Nix caught it.
I'm assuming Derrick Henry got was it 100th touchdown
100,
today?
yeah, 100th and 101, I think.
Okay.
Two today, I'm pretty sure, at least. So
Portland Sutton, Alex.
Cortland said.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't remember which was receivers did it, but yeah, Derrick Henry had two. Patrick Ricard, their fullback, had a touchdown. I think Zay Flowers had two.
Yeah.
So
All right.
they're definitely a force to be reckoned with on offense.
Ravens is. Eagles 28, Jaguars 23. Saquon Barkley has the reverse hurdle.
The spin into a reverse hurdle.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was very Madden-esque.
Yeah.
I wish I knew how to do that on Madden. Like, I don't even. Is there a button for that?
B is spin, and then I don't know what hurdle is.
Yeah, but reverse hurdle. Like,
I think you have to probably there's probably a combo.
It's a button mash.
that was wild.
It's like a Mortal Kombat, like Alex
Yeah.
said, it's a combo.
He definitely hit a
Yeah.
combo move there.
Wild.
Eagles get the win. Jaguars, I think, came back late in this one to make it competitive, but Saquon Barkley had a great day, not just his reverse hurdle. Eagles find a way to get a win.
I think the Eagles had a player thrown out of the game. I'm pretty sure on their own stupidity. From what I saw in the highlights, like there were a lot of dumb penalties. Like not the Eagles, the Jaguars. I apologize. Like the Jaguars looked like they were just killing themselves a lot of the times. So I think that's kind of the wrap on the Jaguars. Like they just keep hurting themselves.
Bad season for them. The Cardinals take down the Bears 29-9. I saw nothing of this game as far as highlights, anything.
Me either. Me
The only
either.
thing I saw was that it started hailing during the game, and they had to shut the roof.
Oh, that's interesting.
Hailing in Arizona.
Yeah.
The Lions go into Green Bay and win another one, taking down the Packers 24-14.
Boom.
Listening to football shows this morning, and everyone was pretty hard like pressed that the Lions were going to struggle. This is their first outdoor game of the year, I guess. And they were like, yeah, the Packers know how to play in the weather, the elements, which I get it. It's true. And all these old NFL players were like, yeah, you can do all the wet ball drills and this, that, and the other you want, but it's not like a real thing. And I didn't see a lot of struggle. I mean, yeah, the Lions didn't put up like the crazy offense that they usually do. And one of their touchdowns is a defensive touchdown. But I mean, I think the Lions proved that they can play in anywhere. Like they're real.
Real.
To me, this was their real game. Like they weren't, yeah, I mean,
I
they
agree
went
with that.
good team in shitty weather conditions with zero experience in the shitty weather conditions for the year and took care of their business.
I agree with all that. I think that's a great take. I worry that their heads are getting a skosh too big.
Okay. They need to be underdogs to some degree in order to keep that edge.
A little bit. I think like they're getting cocky. Detroit Dan is getting a little more brazen.
It kind
I
of
don't want them to
how
peak
can you
too
not?
early.
Like when you were so bad for so long.
I don't disagree,
you know what I mean?
but I don't
I
want
think
them to peak.
Yeah.
Like, let's get through. Like, I wish that what I saw attitude-wise from their fan base and what I saw from their team and all that, I wish I saw that like 3 or 4 weeks from now.
After a few more big wins.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be cool.
That's fair.
Lions do Lions things, though. They get the W.
Yeah.
And last game of the afternoon slate, an overtime game. The Rams beat the Seahawks 26-20. In overtime, the Seahawks had an easy field goal opportunity, decided to go for it on 4th and 1, and did not capitalize. And the Rams march it right down the field, I think in like 4 or 5 plays, and get the game-winning touchdown.
Nakua got thrown out for throwing a punch. Really a wussy punch. Like
You call Nakua a wuss?
I'm calling the punch that he got thrown out for not worth being thrown out for.
Was it against
If
somebody
you're
with a
gonna do
helmet
it, do
on?
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nate, what's your rule?
A punch is a punch.
Well, no. Throwing it against somebody that has their helmet on.
Oh, that's just asshat worthy.
That's just dumb.
There it is. But yeah, Nakua was out. Did not help my fantasy situation, although it's against Alex, who also had issues there. But yeah, the Rams get a win over the Seahawks.
You know what? This is where I'm gonna be called a homer, but Jackson Smith and Jigba had a hell of a day today.
He did. Partly because Metcalf was out. So I mean that he was, I think, the top receiving threat. Like he
Gino
was
had
into the
3
game plan.
interceptions.
Yeah.
And Jigba had 186 yards and one, maybe 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
And that last one to tie the game, thank God. I mean, that saved their ass.
Well, for the time being.
Right. Like I think he has a bright future. I don't know if it's with the Seahawks, but a bright future.
We will see. And in Sunday night football, live looking, how we doing?
0-0.
No score. Colts went down. We're driving, then fumbled. Minnesota was driving and just sort of picking the end zone.
All right. What do we think the outcome of this game will be?
I think Minnesota wins this.
Jim?
Yeah, I would lean that way.
Alex?
I'm with them on that.
Give me a Colts win. Why not? And in Monday Night Football, we have the Buccaneers traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Nate, how are we feeling about the Bucs' chances in this game?
I think Kelsey has a big night. Not having Godwin and Evans, going into a hostile environment, team's undefeated, can't stop a high school 7-on-7. It's going to be a long night.
Okay.
Got to control the ball offensively, but again, when you got your number 1, number 2 receiver, and your leading receiver was a tight end who finally showed some emergence last week, I think it's going to be a little challenging.
We got a 9.5-point spread. What do we think the outcome is, Jim?
Kansas City covers.
Alex?
I think Tampa Bay covers. Kansas City wins.
I'm going to be with Alex on this. Kansas City continues to win, but not to cover. Last bit of news, not news, but information for the NFL. Everybody knows what Tuesday is, right?
Trade deadline.
It's trade deadline day. It's the most important day of the NFL calendar. There's nothing else going on that day, obviously.
No.
So our eyes,
That's not
ears
true.
are
That's not true.
going to be
Hold on.
glued to the
Hold
trade
on.
deadline
That's
on
not
Tuesday.
true. That's not the only thing that's happening on Tuesday.
In the NFL.
College,
Yeah.
we get the first round of the official rankings.
Okay. I just want to know who the hell dreamt this up?
Which one?
All of
the trade
this.
deadline or
The trade deadline, the release of the first college football playoff rankings, and obviously we have an election happening.
Well,
Like, who decided this was everything is going to be on Tuesday?
I'm pretty sure they know the world's going to be burnt out of this election bullshit.
Something else to talk about.
Yeah.
Something else for people to get angry about on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh my God. These playoff rankings, the first ones that aren't going to change at all from now until the end of the season.
Right.
What the hell?
It gives us something to do.
All right. That's fair. I can get on board with that. Any other thoughts on the NFL, gents?
No.
All right. Moving on to college football week 10. Has already been stated, the first college football playoff will be coming out. Rankings will be coming out this Tuesday. Alex, the View did not play, but they did take action this week.
They did. I'm okay. I mean, they had to. They had to do something. So they fired defensive coordinator Jordan Leslie. He's been with the team for 4 years now, I think. I mean, you start 4-4 going into Arizona by some measures. I think it was it's like power rankings football. I don't know. There's different ones, but basically they were ranked as last in pass defense in the FBS. That's a problem. And I would have rather, if you could have told me we were only firing one person, I would have said fire Neil Brown, keep Jordan Leslie based on his previous performance. But something had to be done. His head was the one on the block. He went, I'm okay with it. Jeff Kuntz, their linebacker and special teams coordinator, is going to take over that role for the rest of the season. So I don't expect to see a giant change if I'm being completely honest. But hopefully next year we can make some adjustments there.
All right, WU travels to Cincinnati next week or this week for their game. Alex, how are we feeling about that game?
Should be a win, but this year I try to keep my expectations low and be pleasantly surprised when they go better than expected.
Would a loss to Cincinnati trigger a firing of Neil Brown?
It should.
Okay.
I want to say yes, but I mean, I'm not in, you know, if it was up to me, yes.
Okay.
It was up to every WU fan. He would have already been fired, though.
Yes. But
Fair enough.
especially now.
All right. That brings us into our marquee and the marquee, at least by the rankings, game of the week as Ohio State traveled to Penn State to take on the Nittany Lions, and Ohio State comes out victorious. Many say dominant, and they take down Penn State 20-13. Jim, winners get to write the history books, so we will hear your thoughts first.
Um, I think Ohio State, when they went down 10-0, I was like, oh no. I don't think Will Howard, the pundits are saying that the second half was, he settled down, but I would dare say that he never got right. Like, I don't think he ever calmed down. The defense, I believe, won them the game. I think the running backs solidified the win. Like, they helped a great deal. I think Chip Kelly is a genius for how he schemed the game. Um, I'm sorry that you're a Penn State fan when I say this. I know we're friends. I was not impressed with how Penn State showed up. Now, whether that's because it was a noon game or whatever, like I'll buy anything somebody tells me. Like I won't dispute whatever a Penn State fan were to tell me, but they didn't look right. I've watched other games. That didn't look right. So I would say Ohio State dominated that game from a defensive standpoint and from a if Will Howard had been calm, that'd have been a whole different game. That's my take.
All right, I'll speak first to the Penn State. Is this team aura that you were talking
Yes.
about? Okay. I'll agree and disagree. I'll disagree in the way of Penn State jumping up 10-0 should have blown the roof off of that place. And I
It
believe
did.
it did. So saying that I think that part is where I disagree, but then I'll agree after that the entire time. Right?
Yes.
From that point on, I cannot disagree with that based on the product that was on the field. So my overall take on this game is both teams had unlucky plays at the goal line that cost them. Right?
Sure.
Both teams had that. Um, and that could have changed the course of the game if one of them turned out change the course of the outcome. I don't know if the game, only if Penn State had did something with their goal line situation. Penn State's offense couldn't make a big play when they needed to, and Ohio State's offense could. That's really my overall take. Ohio State's defense controlled Penn State's offense, especially in the red zone area, right?
Yes.
There was only really, in my mind, one controversial call in this game, and I'm not sure where I stand on it to be fully disclosure, so I'm going to ask Nate, and that was the fumble on the field by Ohio State that was overturned to not being a fumble on the pass that was it Henderson, Jim? It was one of
No,
the
it
running
was
backs.
Judkins. It was Judkins.
I was one of the running backs. I forgot which
Yeah.
one.
Before don't answer, Nate, because I want to come back at Muff before you answer. Like, I want you to
Okay.
be the verdict that settles the score. Go ahead, Muff. Or if you're done, I'm going to come back at you
Oh
for a
no,
second.
that was it. Because the only other thing wasn't controversial in my mind.
I don't understand how that is where you're hung up. Like, that's your controversy. To me,
Well, let's hear Nate.
that hold on. I want to say, like, I want to bounce back at you, then I'll let him be
Okay.
like he's the
All right.
decider.
Yep.
To me, that absolutely was not a fumble. To me, the other hangups are like if you came on this and you went the Ohio State route, where like there was holding all over the place, there was offensive, like there was a bunch of bullshit calls on the secondary and the unsportsmanlike. I'd be like, you might have me, Muff. But like that fumble, I'm like, I don't know, Muff. There's been some other ones like he didn't have control. That's my take. Nate, what's your verdict?
I don't think he possessed it long enough. That's why it got overturned.
All right, that's
Because
fine. That's Nate's call.
so I'm like watching a replay on X right now, and like he catches the ball, and he no sooner gets his head around, and he's getting hit, and the ball's out. So to me, he had feet on the ground, but he never, as they always say, made a football move. Like that's not even like a thing in the high school rule book, but like to me, he caught it and was turning, and he never really possessed the ball, like tucked it away to go run. He was in the process of doing so. So yeah, he had possession with his hands, but as he's tucking it in to go run with this when the ball comes out. Almost like one of those where you see a wide receiver wide open and he goes like this and catches it with his hands and he turns his head and he drops it. To me, it was kind of like in that same like a gray area.
See, Muff,
Where are the other controversies or potential controversies that you want to toss in, Jim?
the refs said a lot, or not the refs, the announcers said a lot that they had talked to the refs before the game, and the refs said they're going to let him play.
Well, it did.
I think that benefited the secondary of Ohio State. I think Ohio State mugged your guys a lot and got away with it, which is I'll take the victory.
hmm
I'm an Ohio State homer, but like Igminosa is one of the most penalized secondary players in college football. And if you're going to let him play, he's going to mug the shit out of you. And that was to your disadvantage.
Well, especially since he was on Tyler Warren most of the game.
I mean, that was ugly. Ugly. And they're like, well, they're going to let him play. Well, fine, let him play. I'm going to win. But like, if I was a Penn State fan, I'd be screaming.
Yeah. Okay. There's one. Did you have
But
others?
I
Just
think
general
that
game flow.
That unsportsmanlike, I was like, oh, I'm going to hear about this.
If all he did was get up and not look down while he was getting up, I think
Yeah, he got to keep his head up.
I think it would have been justifiable for them not to throw it. But the
But
fact
you're going
that,
to let him play. That's ticky-tacky. Like, you're going to let them play,
except for right there.
except for right there.
That's fine. I did listen to Unnecessary Roughness after the fact, and Brandon Walker was like, there were 2 or 3 other plays that were similar. I'm not gonna say they're exactly the same that didn't get flagged in other conferences, and this one did. I just think there's inconsistencies in how they do that. But in the end, he brought it upon himself for them to make a decision. So I'm not.
And then I saw Penn State fans coming after James Franklin, calling their team undisciplined. No, like I'm not gonna. I hate James Franklin, and we could go down that route here in a second. what that player did to me is not undisciplined, and it was a bullshit call. Again,
That's
I'll
fair.
take my win,
Yeah.
but that's not on James Franklin.
Overall, Penn State, Kotelnicki got too cute in this one, especially inside the 5 in the fourth quarter. Four plays to get it in, and we run the ball up the middle 3 times, and then try something that didn't have a wrinkle to the situation there. It was very predictable in my mind. Let's look for Tyler Warren on an out.
Yeah,
So Kotelnicki, I think, got too cute overall, whereas Chip Kelly was scheming the plays that Kotelnicki has done so far this year.
yeah,
Chip Kelly was Chip Kelly, and Kotelnicki was a poser in this game from a scheming and gameplay standpoint. So,
yeah. My
um,
My
last. Go ahead, Alex.
Alex,
Sorry.
yeah,
No, I was just gonna say my only comment about the whole thing is from an outside perspective, I don't feel like I would say Ohio State dominated Penn State. I I will say that there was never a time where I truly believed Penn State was going to win the game, but I don't think it was like total domination. Like I don't know if that makes sense. You were adamant that they dominated, and I feel like there was enough there where Penn State hung on. I don't think I ever truly believed they were gonna win, but like if they would have taken off by like at some point you guys needed to like run away with it. I feel like and it never happened.
And I, my point is, if Will Howard had calmed down, we would have. They left 21 points on the board, and the points that Penn State scored themselves, like offensively, were 2 field goals.
Yeah, I was my most disappointed in Penn State was I don't like the way they went about that uh their goal line attempt. You know, when you
Yeah,
guys said your goal line stand, I was like I feel like and it could be me I was watching it on like my phone because I was not
mm.
somewhere I could watch it on a big screen and it just felt like they ran the same play 3 times almost. Do you know what I
that's what
mean?
it felt like.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, you're in this huge game, like do something.
Yeah. Nate, thoughts on this game?
I think it was a very competitive game, um, as far as score wise, but I definitely agree that Ohio State kind of controlled majority of this game. I know they kept saying it a lot that I think it was even early in the second half. Um, Drew Aller was a leading rusher and leading receiver was a running back. So that's how you knew how that game was going.
Yeah.
Jim, final thoughts?
I'm real hung up on Penn State's culture, and if you're gonna come down on James Franklin, I think that's the problem. And I go to the I'm gonna be Alex for a minute. The NIL money I think is hurting Penn State more than it is Ohio State, and I hate saying that, but like your alma mater's playing at the end of the game. Yeah, you just lost, and a bunch of your players went to the locker room in the middle of the alma mater. Like that's not how that works at all. Like that's not okay. And then you let your coach, from a player standpoint, you let your coach catch all kinds of shit from your fans. Like no, there was no player coming out to assist your coach. Like I don't care if you don't like him or not. Like come help talk shit. Like I feel like if Joe Paul was in that situation, guys would have been up in the stands. Like there's a different culture there at Penn State, and I think that's a problem. I did not like that. And I'm a pseudo Penn State fan. Like I don't like that vibe. I think it was a good game, entertaining game, fun to watch, almost threw up. Don't like it, very anxiety ridden,
On the
but
goal line stand, is that when you almost threw up?
yeah, yeah, was not a fan.
All right.
But
Now that we're put the game aside, enough discussion that it caught my ear about Gus Johnson after the game and
I
how he's lost. He may need to reconsider doing big football games and stick to basketball.
why?
The excitement is at wrong times. Like there
Well,
was a
yeah,
touchdown
maybe.
by Ohio State that he pretty much just didn't call. It was like, oh, and there's a touchdown by the world famous Buckeyes, which
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm not sure if that's something that you all claim, the world famous
No,
Buckeyes.
but he does that a lot.
Yeah, he did it last year. He had a nickname for Jeremiah Smith, which didn't make sense. It was like
Yeah,
Money Up Time Smith or something or other. Um, and I think there were a couple moments where he just totally misidentified players on teams.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay,
So I think it was just like a handful of things that people are like, is this really the product you went out there for your premier matchup from Fox?
that's fair.
So we will see. But I mean, he's a staple in the college basketball world. I don't think there's any concerns about what he does on that in that sport. But
That's fair.
Ohio State hosts Purdue next week, and Penn State hosts Washington in the whiteout game because we
What
couldn't do that this week.
is it actually a nighttime game?
Yeah, it's actually an
Okay.
8 o'clock game,
Okay,
which we couldn't do this week for some ungodly reason.
fair enough.
Those are my thoughts. Let's get into the top 25 other action in the college football world. Number one, Oregon takes down Michigan 38-17,
Oregon is the number one team in the country.
Hmm.
bar none.
Like they are just so fast.
They're just so fast.
I mean, I don't know any way else to put it. Like they are just so quick.
Because of the wings on their hat,
Must be.
my theory.
All right, Alex, we'll go with it. Number two, Georgia. I'm going to say escapes. It's the word I'm
Yeah,
going to use, 34-20, because if Florida's quarterback had not gone down in this one, I believe this outcome could have been different. Like,
I agree.
would have been different. I think Florida would have won if their quarterback did not get hurt at the end of
Yeah.
the first half, I believe is when it happened.
I mean, I agree with that.
Florida was up, had the momentum, and then after that, the wind was out of their sails.
Yep.
So, Georgia's still on fraud alert, I think, in many people's eyes. Number five, Miami beats Duke 53-31, requiring Cam Ward to be a Heisman Trophy hopeful in this one because they had to come back.
Yeah.
Nobody else has any thoughts?
No, I just got the ESPN notification where it was close going into the fourth quarter. Then I saw the final. I'm like, it wasn't
Yeah,
close.
it was. And then Miami just did things.
I
Yeah.
think that quarterback has not played a real defense. And I don't think we'll play a real defense.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like.
I mean,
I'm
they got to
sure.
go through, the championship, but like put Miami against a Georgia, a Texas, Ohio State, a Penn State, an Oregon. Let's see him do all that trickery and that running around and
Mhm.
walk.
All right. 7 Tennessee beats Kentucky 28-18.
Tennessee's another team that ever since like the Oklahoma game, where's their offense gone?
Yeah.
I think this is like the Cam Ward effect that Jim was just talking about. Tennessee was playing teams with poor defenses, and then they got into a little bit more of the heart of their SEC schedule, and now it's like, oh, this is not as dominant as we expected or thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've all been hyping up the whole Josh Hype offense, and I'm like, what offense?
I mean, they are undefeated in the SEC, correct? Or they just lost to Georgia.
They lost to Georgia.
That's their only loss. So
Yeah.
I think it's tough to come down on
But I
them too
also
hard right now.
I also think his offense is built around an elite quarterback. And I don't think the quarterback there is elite. He's good,
Mhm.
but much like Ohio State, like Will Howard's not upper echelon. He's good. I think that's a similar situation.
Texas A&M loses to the Gamecocks of South Carolina, 44-20, and SEC fraud alert, fraud alert, fraud alert. Many people had been saying this about A&M, and it finally came to fruition.
Well, you guys steered me away from it, so I will say thank you.
Yeah. Yes, I did. I told you.
You did. I'll give you your flowers there. You told me.
Thank you. That whole time I was watching, I was like, thank God I told him. I don't think
Oh,
they were
oh,
frauds.
you're waiting, you're hoping for Alex to win, but not for me. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, yes. Anyway, I don't think they're frauds. I just knew that South Carolina was going to catch someone, and I thought this would be the one. I don't know why. They always do catch somebody. I thought that this is their one. I think Texas A&M is still a good team.
We'll see. I don't know who they have left. I feel like they still have at least a top matchup in the SEC left on their
I'm pretty
schedule.
sure they still have Texas. I think that's like
Yeah,
or
that's one
they've
of their
already gone through Texas.
rivalries. No, they still have Texas. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I should say I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. And fraud alert number 2, Louisville takes down Dabo and Clemson, 33-21.
I also told you.
Told who?
I
Both
told
of
you
us. I didn't bet on it.
specifically.
I didn't bet on
I know you didn't.
it. I wasn't going to bet on it no matter what you said, one way or the other. You could have said, "Up, it's time. Dabo's in it," and I would have said, "Oh, I'm gonna stay away from this one still, buddy." But
But I
uh,
did say Dabo still has to go through some teams.
and they still do. ACC, we'll talk about this. ACC up for grabs, sort of, still kind of, sort of. Another top team loses as Texas Tech takes down Iowa State 23-22.
What say you, Alex?
Well, it's unfortunate. Texas Tech's been a sneaky decent team this year, but I don't know. It sucks to
Do
lose your.
you know what's going on in your conference? Like, does
Oh,
anyone know what the Big 12, like,
we
who
will
is good,
we'll talk
who is
about
not
this.
good?
We're going to talk about this because some of these potential outcomes are not going to be to Alex's liking.
No, I know.
Okay.
We will see. Indiana stays undefeated. Windiana as they take down Michigan State 47-10.
I mean, it's them marching to Ohio State at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all standing between them and a likely undefeated season.
Yep.
So we will see. Ashton Genty and Boise State beat San Diego State 57-24. I did not realize this. Ashton Genty has a dislocated elbow and has continued to play.
Yeah, he wears that
Alex,
giant like thing
Yeah.
on it.
Hmm.
how hard is it to keep your elbow in place? And how long does that take to heal?
I don't know. It's weird that it's weird. Like a lot of times, dislocated elbows are like little kid injuries. Like when a kid goes to fall and someone grabs their arm, it's like a nursemaid's elbow, and they
Yeah,
pop back in fairly easy. So I don't know with him the specifics of like. I know people that have like shoulder dislocations, then your tendons and your ligaments stuff get loose almost.
right.
Like you'll see people get like recurrent issues. So I'm not sure if that's what his problem is or what, but I don't know enough to say what's going on with him.
Yeah, I didn't realize this because I haven't been able to watch these games, and I was like, huh. And there was actually like some speculation of this is why he's not breaking those long runs anymore because he's a little hindered by, swinging his arms and be able to
Yeah.
build up
Well, yeah, you're
momentum
not
and
getting.
speed. So, and this is really hurting in the end his Heisman hopes because he's not putting up historic numbers, right? He's still putting up a great season, but for somebody
He's got
not in a
20
power
touchdowns and he
conference,
hasn't even played 8 full games yet. So
right? But historically, as far as yards and total touchdowns, that's hurting his chances because he's going to have to do that not being in a power conference to really be considered. C'est la vie. Alex, another one bites the dust as Houston beats Kansas State 24-19. This must have been the bad version of Kansas State, Alex.
this was a bad version of Kansas State. Or the not, yeah, because any team that loses to Houston, they were the bad version of themselves.
When they're the good version of themselves, top 10 team. When they're the
Yes,
bad version of
bad
themselves, they
version of
lose to Houston.
themselves. Not great.
It's the recurring theme
Nice are
on
catching.
Kansas State. When they're good,
Nice
they're
are
good.
starting
When
to
they're
catch
bad,
up.
they're bad.
Yep, exactly.
All right, in a game that had major implications in the ACC, SMU dispatches of Pittsburgh 48-25 in a game where Bryson DeChambeau brought the U.S. Open trophy into the stands.
That's cool.
It was. I saw the video and I was like, huh, he's just one of them.
I dig it.
Lot going on in the ACC to talk about there. Next, Jackson did not fart. In fact, he threw all sorts of darts as Ole Miss in a shootout beats Arkansas 63-31.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Ole
Yes,
Miss
sir.
look good.
Are we back on the Ole Miss train? Or
I
is this
never left
just,
that train.
you're right. You did never leave that train.
That's true. Yeah, I left it for a bit. I mean, I'm not sold that they'll win, be a national title contender or anything, but I think they're a good team.
Yeah, they don't have a shot at the playoff, I don't believe, but
But Jackson Dart.
I'm a Lane Kiffin fan.
It's true. It's true. You
Yep,
are.
and through and through.
Army beats Air Force 20-3.
Cool.
America won, right,
Yeah.
Alex?
America did win. America, I don't think covered.
Well, America covered no matter what, Alex.
America
That's
covered.
It doesn't matter what this outcome was unless it was a push. America covered.
true. That's
And
a,
Illinois. Oh, go ahead.
no, it's a good point. I didn't get it at first, and then it hit me.
And
Ugh.
Illinois gets the boat rowed right over their faces as Minnesota wins 25-17.
I felt like I saw this coming.
Yeah, I feel bad, but that happened. I think they just got that whole letdown from Penn State. Like, if you don't win out in your Illinois, like you're done, right?
Yeah.
It is. All right. Now that we have all of that, let's do some way too early thoughts. What's going to happen in some of these conferences? Starting out in the Big 12, we have BYU and Iowa State control their own destiny to the championship games, but Colorado is nipping on the heels. Alex, Shadur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and Dion could find a way to the Big 12 championship in what would be the most nightmare matchup for you, no matter what team they
Oh.
would face.
Yeah.
Alex, what would you do and how would you boycott the Big 12 if Colorado made it to the championship game, win or lose at that point, but made it?
I would
So
just
what's it
adamantly
take?
become a fan of whoever they were playing.
Colorado has one loss. Iowa State has one loss. I think Iowa State, because they're higher ranked right now, would get the bid. But if Colorado remains a one-loss team, wins out, and somehow they wouldn't be over top of Iowa State in the rankings, but say Iowa State loses or BYU loses too, Colorado would be in, assuming they went out.
Alex, Iowa State has to play both Kansases.
Iowa State's a better team than it. Well, hopefully, honestly, at this point, I hope bad Kansas State shows up.
That's what I needed right there.
So I just need Alex to know this, that
I'm
Colorado has a shot, a real
I'm
shot.
ignoring it.
Alex, I understand that, but it's there.
So, Alex, if Kansas or Colorado goes to your championship and wins and makes the playoff, what are you going to do?
Why are we doing this?
I
Go
just
get
need to
embarrassed
know.
wherever they play.
Right, but like Alex has to root for them, right?
No.
I mean, I don't really have to know.
You
They're
tend
close.
to root, you tend to be a Big 12 homer. Like that is your thing.
Colorado doesn't
I
belong in the
am,
Big
but
12,
this,
according to Alex.
hey, you know what? I don't want to talk about it right now because it might not even be a thing. So there's no
Oh,
reason to get all worked up about it.
this is the way too early thoughts, Alex. So we just need that right
You're just
there.
trying to stir me up, and I'm just not falling for it.
Bingo, bango. In the ACC, Miami and SMU control their own destinies. Both can win out to play to the ACC championship. Um, Clemson and Pitt would be on the outside looking in at the moment.
I mean, SMU's got that.
I'm just getting nauseous talking about all of these teams being good.
SMU's got that. Miami, I mean, they got to run through Georgia Tech and Syracuse. So I guess Miami could lose out, but like SMU's in.
Yeah, I guess I'm using a good spot.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten, Indiana and Oregon control their own destinies.
Oregon's got that.
With Penn State, Ohio State on the outside looking in.
Oregon's got that handedly. Indiana got to go through Ohio State, but we'll see.
Why they play the games. SEC looks to be just an absolute dogfight with Georgia, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Texas, LSU, all one-loss teams in the SEC. I feel like this is just going to be interesting.
Well, that's, I mean, I love that the SEC is interesting. Like, I'm glad we don't just have Georgia and Alabama.
Well, Georgia has to play Ole Miss, Tennessee. So that'll sell itself out with the Tennessee issue.
Mm-hmm.
Texas. What's Texas got to do? I'm pretty sure Texas is golden pony boy. Uh, Texas. Texas.
They
Texas
have
has
A&M.
Florida and A&M. Pretty sure Texas got that in the bag.
Yeah, I think Texas is in a good spot.
Texas A&M.
Plays
Texas
Texas. And-
A&M just has Texas.
right, but if they lose to Texas, and that probably puts them out.
So we're looking at maybe, wow, probably Texas and,
Georgia.
well, no, I think Georgia might. Georgia? I'm going for Ole Miss in that Georgia Ole Miss game.
That's what I'm saying. There's enough matchups left that this could really get super interesting
That
in these
could get
last few
way
weeks.
interesting.
So that's the race I'm most excited to see how
It
it
could
plays
get
out.
messy.
Those last 2 weeks are going to be fun.
Nice.
It's just cool that there's this many teams we're talking about.
Yeah. And then outside of that, right, we have the 5 highest ranked conference champions, which I think is how this is played out that are automatic. Um, and
I don't
in
think I think it's only one Muff.
it's only one what?
One non-power 5 goes in.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The 5, I believe the way it's written is the 5 highest ranked conference champions. So the Power 4, they just assume are always going to be in the top 5,
Yep.
as it is right now, plus whoever the highest non-Power 5 is. Right now, we have
Yep.
Boise State as the current highest ranked non-Power conference, followed them by Army. And guess what, boys? Washington State is third on this list.
Um,
Cool.
How would this boil out if Washington State becomes the highest ranked non-Power 5 conference champion by winning the Pac-12?
All right. All right.
Sad.
Bad. It would be bad. It would be funny.
No, I said sad.
No, bad, sad. I think it'd be
Same thing.
hilarious. I think it'd be hilarious. That's just me. Games to note this week: Georgia at Ole Miss, Alabama at LSU. We know where Jim falls in the Georgia Ole Miss. Nate, what do you think?
Give me sad Brian Kelly.
Georgia Ole Miss.
Oh, Georgia Ole Miss. I think it all depends on how Ole Miss's offense plays in this game. Because we know
Alex?
Georgia's offense is very suspect.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Alex, thoughts?
uh,
Is it a night game? Is it a night game for old Lane Kiffin?
I want to say Ole Miss, but I feel like Georgia probably here. Not by much, but I think Georgia wins. I want Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Georgia on this one. While Jim's looking that up, Bama LSU, Alex,
Give me LSU.
Nate.
Give me Bama.
I
gonna
swear
go-
to God they hate Lane Kiffin
I'm gonna go to LSU. Why?
because it's a 3:30 game.
Right, because Bama LSU is probably the game day game, Jim.
But
It is.
that's stupid.
Just because you love Lane Kiffin and the media does not.
So, all right, unbiased, 2 versus 16
Hmm.
or 11 and 4 versus 14.
Give me 11 and 14 at
Yeah,
Baton
11 and
Rouge.
14.
Give me the game at Baton Rouge.
No way.
11
Which-
and 14 has a better chance theoretically to be a better game than the 2 versus 16.
That's I was gonna say. It's closer rankings is what you have to look at too.
That's nuts. No, thank you.
I mean, game day wants to be in Baton Rouge, Jim. That atmosphere is a whole lot better
Pat
than whatever Ole
McAfee
Miss.
does.
Well, I think the world would rather see at LSU than at Ole Miss.
I would be at Ole Miss.
What about the game day atmosphere at Ole Miss is something that you know about?
Lane Kiffin.
That exactly.
No toppers.
We've come to it again. All right, our winners and losers of the week.
It's not even a night game on ESPN. Like the other ESPN game is Tennessee and Mississippi State.
Right, they're not
Wolf.
going to compete. ESPN's not going to try to compete with that.
So stupid. Stupid.
All right, winners and losers of the week in college football. Jim, do you want to go first or last?
I'll go last.
All right, Alex.
No, I take that back. I'll go first.
Jim goes first.
My losers, James Franklin, because he caught shit from the fans. They said fire. There was a chant for fire James Franklin. His team didn't come help him. I feel bad for him. So he's a loser. The Penn State fan who caught shit or jumped the American treasure, that is Mr. Kelsey. That guy's a loser. Dabo, and Michigan. Really was a great weekend for me.
I don't, we're just piling on the Michigan stuff right now. Like, is it even worth it?
Yes, every time.
All right.
Then
Your
my
winners.
winners, Ryan Day, you've saved your job. South Carolina, and I don't know who put Clemson in there. Rat bastards. Not okay.
Did
I'll say
somebody do that?
Yeah.
Nate, Alex? I
No.
didn't do it.
I haven't been in
I
the
didn't do it.
So Ryan Day and South Carolina.
And Clemson, apparently, the winners.
No, I did not put that in there.
All right, Alex.
Mine are pretty chalk this week, to be honest. I would say my winners would be Oregon. I think that they have, with their big win this past week, I don't big win is that Michigan's a great team, but they won convincingly. And I think it set them in that solid top spot where unless they shoot themselves in the foot, they're going to be the number one team going out. Indiana's a winner, still having a great season. It's fun for their fans. I'm rooting for them to continue to do well. Loser of the week, James Franklin still doesn't seem like he can win a big one. And I wasn't a fan of his goal line execution, so loser, James Franklin.
Right. I'm going to go
Poor
next.
guy.
My losers, similar to Jim, the Penn State fans lost in every way possible this week. There was a noon kick, which they tried to make a big deal. Somewhat did. They obviously had the loss in the game. They had a fan arguing with James Franklin who simply asked the man's name and he walked away.
What a
So I
wussy.
think that's an L for the fan. And as Jim talked about, we had Jason Kelsey owning a fan, specifically that fan's cell phone. Uh, yeah. Be interested to see if that comes up in any of the broadcasts that Jason Kelsey is or in their podcast. Be interested to see that. And my winners this week is Hoosier Nation, Kurt Signetti, Windiana, continuing their strong showing. Nate, your winners and losers of the week.
My winners are the unranked underdogs. As we saw, there were multiple unranked teams beating ranked teams this week. And for me, I can't remember which announcer was it, if it was Herb Street or not. But my loser is uneducated announcers.
Mm.
There were multiple times where they're like, "Oh, I don't know this, blah blah blah," and they get the rules analyst on. He goes, "Oh no, that's right." Like clear as day. Like the one that stands out to me, I want to say it was Herb Street in the Clemson game for some reason. They lined up with 10 guys on the line of scrimmage. He goes, "Oh, there's not four in the backfield. There's not four in the backfield." It's like, Kirk, you can have 10 guys on the line of scrimmage, buddy. You just have to have somebody take the snap.
I think it was in the Penn State game.
It might have been.
I think there was a discussion in the Penn State game because there was one of their plays they had everybody on the line. It was one of those goal line plays, I think.
So then it wasn't Kurt.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Oh, you're right.
I thought it was the Clemson game, but maybe it was the Penn State game. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can have 10 guys on the line of scrimmage. Our
Yeah.
favorite thing is in Pee Wee football was when teams line up with more than 7 on the line and the coach is yelling at us, "They've got 9 on the line. They got 9 on the line." I go, "Thanks, coach."
Thank you for bringing this up, Nate. Uneducated announcers. Jim, do you remember or anybody in the Penn State Ohio State game when they went to Mike Pereira and he said,
Yes, I was going to
don't
bring that
know.
up.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Like, why are you paying
Why are we
this
paying
man?
you? Right.
Right? I was like, how could you literally bring your
I don't
rules
know.
analyst and him say, you know what, guys, I just don't know. Like, was that just him siding with the refs and not wanting to go against them, or was that him just being an absolute buffoon?
I think he had no clue. I think he had no clue.
And that's somebody the NFL put their trust in. Just think about
Yep.
that.
Yep. I don't know.
I don't know. All right, that brings us to other interesting news in sports.
Interesting news in sports.
Oh.
Starting in baseball, as the Dodgers win the World Series 4 games to 1. Freddie Freeman wins the MVP with a historic, right? This is historic, right, Nate?
Oh yeah, very historic.
Freddie Freeman had all of the moments in most of the games with 12 RBIs, tying the World Series record, 4 home runs in the first 4 games of the series, becoming, well, joining Astros George Springer as the only player to homer in 4 straight games within a single World Series. And was it he had 6 in a row, Nate? 6 games in a row dating back to previous World Series?
Yeah, back when he was with the Atlanta Braves.
And extended his record-setting personal World Series homer streak to 6, which I just said. Freddie Freeman wins the MVP as was expected in this one. We did not get a chance to talk about the fan, correct?
No, we
No.
may have briefly talked about it.
Before we leave Freddie Freeman,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this was recent or if it was just like something that recycled because of his um MLB stuff, but it was like a Halloween thing, and this kid's like walking down the road, and he's like Freddie Freeman's trick-or-treating with his kids, and the kid is dressed as Freddie Freeman for Halloween. And he was like, "Oh, hey man," he's like, "Sweet jersey, that's my baseball number." And the kid's like, "Oh, cool." And he's like, "And that's my name." And the kid's like, "Cool." And the dad's just like laughing, like because he realizes the kid has no idea what's going on. He's like, "Can we take our picture together?" And the kid's like, "Yeah." Like,
Yeah, I remember.
I was
I
like,
think
"That's gonna be a
it's
funny
older trick
picture in like a couple years." Be like, "Hey, this was Freddie Freeman." But he was cool about it. It was funny.
What do we think about the fans that were reaching over and interfering with Mookie Betts
Ass hats.
Yep.
Yeah.
of the 1000th degree? And then you find out that the one guy, Gronk, knew. They both at
That
Arizona together.
That
that
adds
doesn't
up.
surprise me.
Yep.
Not somebody he said he kept in touch with, but he's like, oh yeah, I know that guy. He played hockey. We used to
I
party
probably would have
together.
never said anything about him.
Ah, it's Gronk. I feel like
Yeah,
Well,
that's
and what
just
does that say about
exactly.
your strength between you and the other guy holding Mookie up by his wrist so you can grab the ball out of the glove?
you saying about the strength of that man.
Yes.
Uh,
But not only hold him up as he jumped for the ball that he caught, but to have that open his glove wide open and take the ball out. And then try to go, oh, nope, he didn't catch it.
It says
Again,
something about him.
but again, I think that's, I don't know. Maybe I've lost my touch.
Hmm.
Maybe this is the old man on the porch, but like I think the entire outfield should have gone after the guy in the stands.
Well,
Well,
he
that
was
would,
ejected from the game.
yeah,
I don't care. If I see one of my guys,
that's run our test worthy, Jim. That's what happens right there.
that's what needs to change in society.
We'll need to get punched more.
People need punched more.
Or throw a baseball into the stands and hope you hit the right guy.
Yeah, just beat him up.
I mean, the fans have the high ground in that one, Jim.
No, they don't.
You have to
Quite
scale,
literally.
Jim. Quite
Oh,
literally,
okay.
they
I see what you
do.
mean.
You have to scale a wall.
I would go after him.
New York became the first metro area to lose a game in Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, the NBA, and the NFL on the same day last Monday when the Yankees lost, New York Field Club lost, the Knicks lost, and the Giants lost.
Screw him.
That to
Wah,
me
wah, wah.
was funny. Um,
This should be the anti-New York podcast. Like that's how we should be.
I'm just trying to think if there's any New York teams that we would side with at any point.
No.
Well,
Okay.
you side with the Jets,
Ah,
but
Muff
they're
is the
technically New
bastard.
Jersey.
Granted, they play in New Jersey, but they have the New York name.
Yeah, I don't think as Pens fans we wouldn't side with the Islanders or the Rangers.
No,
Anybody of the Islanders of that group.
I don't really have a problem with the Giants, I guess. You know what I mean? The like New York NFL teams. I don't really, I guess, have hatred in my heart for them.
Right. We'll be sort of anti-New York.
I know your love affair with Rogers ruins everything.
Whatever. They got to win this
That just
Thursday.
fuels the Jim being I feel like it fuels Jim being a
Anti.
anti.
It's true.
Yeah.
Does kind of add up for you. Also in Major League Baseball, they're investigating top prospects in the Dominican. One specifically who had verbally agreed to a contract with the Padres worth about $4 million, and then they found out that he's 5 years older than reported expected. I don't think this is new, but I think this is such a high dollar contract that came to be in this one.
Well, yeah. And then it turned out like he tried to say he was like 19, he was actually 14 or something.
Yeah. So, yikes. Yikes on that. I am 12. In the NHL, who put this in there? Have at it.
I did, which is mind-blowing. The NHL Player Association will form an advisory committee to help players better understand chronic traumatic, basically CTE. Alex, I can't say that word. And the
Encephalopathy.
damage, thank you. And the damage that concussions
CTE.
can do to the brain.
Yeah.
So now they're doing it. They're the ones to join the party this late in the game. Hockey,
I feel like you don't have as many, as weird as it is, like you don't hear about as many.
I think that's the problem, Alex.
They just are hockey players and they don't care or talk about it.
I just think hockey is so far behind on so many things.
They just are don't, I'm telling you, they just don't care. They're just like, well, you got hit in the head, suck it up.
Remember, Jim, when were they required to start wearing helmets?
Yeah,
I
thanks,
think
Muff.
that was in like the
That does
90s.
that does bring it around. Thank you.
Nate, was that right? Is that the 90s? Or was it in the 80s?
Probably the 80s, Muff.
Don't
I think
really.
it was in the 80s.
But back to baseball, real quick. I do have breaking news for you, Yinzers. Jared Triola won a Gold Glove.
Okay.
I mean, there's so much opportunity when your pitchers just toss up meatballs the whole game.
Yeah, so he won the Rawling Sports Gold Glove for National League utility players.
Of course he did. Of course. I mean, I guess that's cool. Whatever. Anything else in the NHL? Baseball? No. Basketball, the NBA season has started.
Elevated home shopping experience. Beautiful design, tremendously.
I'm sorry. There was baseball. I moved on.
Jim talking about his home shopping network experience. Basketball in the NBA has started. Cool. Everybody? Nothing?
Yeah. Okay.
I did find that a girls' high school basketball coach in Texas was suspended for adding 18 transfers for this season. It's a 2-year suspension for the entire coaching staff and a ban for the team from this year's playoffs.
They cue that bit from Parks and Rec. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
How do you think? I mean, I don't know the rules, but obviously they were broken tremendously. 18 transfers to your roster. How do you even have a
And
roster
then
of
just
18
like, I don't know
players?
what did happen.
I have no
What happened?
idea.
I don't know. These 18 kids just decided to all come to my school and play basketball.
Oh my goodness.
Don't look into it. It's fine. It just happened.
Like, what do you think that's going to be okay?
Wait, they all took in the summer and said, hey, let's form one big super team. The NBA
They
does it
all-
all the time. Let's do it in high school.
And they all happen to be like 7 foot.
I mean, I doubt it in this case it was girls. I just don't think you're finding that many 7-foot girls.
Wow, Muff, you heightist.
I just
That's just
this is just facts, buddy.
yeah.
How many 7-foot women are in the WNBA?
That's fair.
How many 7-foot women are there in the world?
So, and
If you're
lastly,
7 foot and you want to reach out to us here at Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff
to what?
to voice your displeasure with
Then
Muff,
we will give you a free sports stuff with Jim and Muff
You
hat.
also have to play basketball. You can't just be 7 foot. You have to also play
I
basketball.
feel like if you are a 7-foot woman and you come forward, we will give you a hat.
if you're 7 foot and play basketball, we will give you a hat.
What an NIL deal we just offered.
Yeah.
What an NIL deal. And lastly, in NASCAR, has nothing to do with racing, but Tom Cruise and Paramount are in talks about a sequel to Days of Thunder, Jim.
I don't know if it's a sequel. I saw things that said prequel, which is going to really piss me off.
I don't. That would involve Tom Cruise looking younger than he did in the 80s,
Right. Thank you.
unless he's the dad of somebody that they cast to be his son.
How? You know what? Days of Thunder. Let's just search and see what happens. Is it a prequel or a sequel? Days of Thunder. Let's click news. A sequel. Thank God. You were right. I
I
thought it
think
said
it'd be
prequel.
more hilarious to me if it was a prequel.
I really did I saw prequel. I swear it might have been a typo on the bottom thing that scrolls across my screen. But I swear it said prequel.
I'm not gonna.
And I was like, why? That makes zero sense.
It does. All right.
What
Anything
what
else?
what, what do you think he's gonna do?
I mean, what has he done in all of these other movies he's ever done? He just can do. They're like, oh my God, he's like the Sylvester Stallone of action movies.
Yeah, but except he's about to make the most expensive movie ever in the next Mission Impossible, spending like $400 million on it. So
Gee.
like, is he gonna like rappel from the pit wall? Like what could he possibly do? Like what's the story gonna be?
And
Rubbings racing.
and over the hill, NASCAR driver comes back, escapes some type of crazy injury, and then wins the title
But
against
what role will
against
he
against
play?
Michael Jordan's team.
Let's just say that this is on my to
He's
watch
he's
list.
the plugged in guy.
Days of Thunder.
You have
Oh
not
yeah.
watched it?
It's on my to watch list.
Nate, have you ever watched Days of Thunder?
I'm not.
Okay. That's fine. Remember, Jim, they're outside of our generation.
Guys.
Their NASCAR movie was Talladega Nights
Damn it.
Oh man.
I'm working on catching up on my movie watching. I'm so far I can say that I have Super Troopers under my belt
and Beer
Go
Fest
and Beer Fest.
go watch Days of Thunder.
whenever you want. Jim, we didn't talk about this. Jackson Dart, Halloween, Ole Miss. People were in arms that he went out for Halloween,
They need to get
like
over
a normal
themselves.
college kid. Well, it came out later. I was just curious if you saw this at all. It came out later that he and other teammates went out with one of their teammates who happens to have a young child. And
All right,
Ole Miss
wow.
Ole Miss fans were blowing them up, saying, "How could you go out on Halloween? Like you're not preparing for the game." Blah blah blah.
Get over it.
But say, Levy, anything else to chat about today?
No, I'm good, buddy.
That wraps up this week's episode of Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. Remember, you can catch the betting episode that drops on Thursday, recorded on Wednesday night, may or may not be live this week, to be determined.
Oh, wait, Muff. Wait. You're not doing this justice. Let's back this up. He went out with the child on Halloween.
Like
I
went
don't,
trick or treating.
Like you know, this player who has a child went as uh damn it, I can't think of the movie.
the Rizla. Boom,
Um,
boom, boom.
where's the movie where the guys uh
Hangover.
the hangover and had the baby
It was Carlos. Baby was
in
Carlos.
the baby carrier.
Dallas Goddard did that with his wife.
So like yeah, it's not good.
Wait, why is this
Like
not
go
good?
out.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why the
I'm
way
not sure they were trick or treating. I'm thinking they went partying with the baby.
That sounds like a great time. I don't see a problem.
No, I think that it was portrayed that they went partying, and then people got upset because they thought they went partying, and then the baby thing came in after the fact, and they're like, "Oh, they just went out like trick or treating like normal humans do with a child."
Well, I will dig into this. I need to know if this baby went partying or they went trick or treating.
Hey, listen, apparently, if they went out partying, maybe this
It's
is
a
what they're going to do
costume.
this week, so they can be
Partying
Georgia,
wins. Yeah, amen.
channeling their inner Johnny Manziel.
I think at
Yeah.
this point, Jim's less worried about did they party before a game and did they take a baby to a party.
Yeah, I want to know if the baby went to the party.
There we go.
Jackson Dart, if you're listening, clarify for Jim.
Yeah.
Let Jim know. Let Jim know. Clarify all the things, but don't clarify what you're going to do this week because on Wednesday night, if we go live, We want all eyes glued to YouTube Live. Make sure you get with us. Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff on Facebook, on YouTube, at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Ding ding.
And remember to tell a friend, make a friend, be a
Ah.
friend.